This is, look, this is an Ivy League law school. Many of our Supreme Court judges, justices, our appellate court judges, many of our district court judges. I mean, some of the top legal minds of America come from this institution. And this tells you the track that we're on. Joining me now to talk more about this is one of our own attorneys. He is the Vice President of Policy and Government Affairs here at the Family Research Council, and that is Travis Weber. Travis, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you, Tony.
You know, as Kristen was describing what took place, and I've read news accounts that verify everything that she said, that they were out there beating, stomping their feet, you know, making all these noises. It sounds very, frankly, demonic, and it is very similar to what happened at the confirmation of Justice Kavanaugh, when the left was throwing a fit at the door of the Supreme Court, literally scratching and kicking at the door of the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I mean, it really seems here, you know, like we have a breakdown in reason and order. As we examine kind of the underlying behavior here, whether this instance or the Kavanaugh hearings. I think, you know, just reflecting on this, Tony, I think many of us are familiar with the issues in the educational system, in higher ed, in universities and on campuses. But I think what's really alarming here and sadly ironic is the legal system at law schools, of which Yale is viewed as the top U.S. law school, or the most difficult one to get into. The legal education system is supposed to be promoting debate, promoting an exchange of ideas, the whole framework of law school. And I went through 4 years of law school, an additional master's in law to my JD degree. But the whole point is to train students on how to understand the arguments of different sides. If students are promoting or arguing one side, the professor's job is to say, what is the other side's argument? Even if you don't disagree, if you don't agree with it, your job is to understand the argument and to be able to articulate it. That's the very opposite of what was going on here. And aside from just the ridiculous behavior and alarming behavior, we're not even creating a functional legal education system. Now, some might say that's happened, you know, that's done and gone long ago. But I would say, you know, observing this is particularly alarming and really moves us towards a dangerous view of how we view a civic leadership, of which the legal profession is a part, and Yale Law School in particular. Dangerous view of what that would mean for our country. Really, I think, dark and foreboding. I think this calls us to pray and to be aware and engage, but it's very dangerous as we look at what happened here and the implications for us in the years ahead.
Well, as Kristen was describing, this was a conversation, not really a debate, more of a conversation with a progressive atheist from the Humanist Association, one of those associations that had a different worldview, but a similar perspective on the First Amendment that is important. And this is something I've made reference to many times on the program. There's a difference between liberals who, you know, have a different worldview, but they understand that our process requires that we preserve certain rights and we have debate, discussion, and reach consensus. The left is different. Left and liberal are not the same. What this display that we saw at Yale really harkens back to the French Revolution, where there is no deviation from what is said to be what is demanded. And those who are, you know, they refuse to get in line are silenced.
Yeah, you really see that happening here. You know, and if those who study history will observe when the communists came into power in the Soviet Union, the early part of this century, the past century, when the Nazis took over, you referenced the French Revolution. You can look at communism spreading to Cuba and elsewhere. There's a takeover of the leadership pillars of society, including the legal profession. And lawyers in those regimes are trained to implement a totally different approach, and it perverts justice. You know, you study the show trials in the Soviet Union. It was about a political outcome, and justice and the law were manipulated to get there. If you examine what's happening here with the refusal to consider other views, the desired outcome, and the militancy with which it's being enforced, you see hints of that. There are shades and hints of similarity between what has happened in those regimes, which many would agree are despotic, yet America is moving in that direction. Certainly in this instance where we're examining intolerance in what should be the enlightened leaders of our society. This is really sad, and Yale Law School should be, I mean, this should be a shame for this kind of thing occurring there.
Now, I will say the undercurrent with this and so many other things is the whole LGBTQ transgender agenda, which was very much a part of the messaging there at Yale. So we've diagnosed the problem, Travis Weber. I think everybody, sees what is happening in terms of the desire to silence opposing voices, those who oppose the left. So what's the solution? Let's focus just on when we look at our legal system and this being a major pipeline of judges and lawyers and so on and so forth. What do we do? Because this certainly is not the path we want to go down as a nation if we want to survive.
Yeah, I think there are several things. One is just for all of us as Americans to model what proper behavior is. The civil and firm with participation in debate with convictions, where we stand up for our views with respect and we don't back down, but we are engaging with those who disagree. As we model that, whether in or out of law school, that's gonna prayerfully and hopefully spread throughout society. I think secondly, to the specific situation here, Tony, I think those engaging the legal profession, whether students going to law school, those who are involved in supporting or working with law schools in various ways, need to recognize the reality of what's going on here. And if this kind of thing is not corrected, realize that Yale or whoever is supporting, whatever entity is supporting this kind of behavior from their students is not serving the legal profession, and other institutions need to be looked to as those who will educate our future lawyers. I mean, this is really the way practically ahead for the legal profession. And obviously there are implications for that in the broader educational system. And how we are, if students are learning these things in younger levels of education, high school or elementary school, then the issue needs to be dealt with there. And I know we do a lot of that, but families need to look at that and take guard to make sure their children are not raised up in that mindset.
Yeah, I think what we saw there at Yale, or what we're seeing there at Yale, is the manifestation of years of preparation. And that's what's happening in the indoctrination. However, I do think that, the Senate, in particular, the Senate Judiciary Committee, where judges are confirmed, should send a very strong message that this is intolerable. And for those that would be coming from these institutions, they're going to get a second look before they would be confirmed to these posts. So I think there needs to be some self-policing on behalf of these institutions that are training up lawyers. Travis, we're out of time. I want to thank you for joining us. Always great to talk with you.
Thank you.